Hola, bom dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream YouTube channel and podcast. Well over 13,000 downloads on the podcast now. So thank you to everybody who listens that way. You strike me as the more secretive and private people, unlike those who come and join us on the live stream via Facebook, our Facebook page, each morning at 9 o'clock around now. It's already 27 degrees in the studio here. So I think it's going to be another hot one. Let me have a quick look at the weather around the country. I'm a little bit hesitant this morning because my baby son, I think, has been playing with the controls here, and he
pushes buttons and makes for different sound effects.
So I'm wondering what he might have touched here that has messed my show up. But Mrs. M's tuned in, and she'll let me know if all is well as far as you're hearing and seeing this. Slight technical hitch, talking to Leah. Could be Lee, or I'll find out when we speak to her. But we're struggling to get her via audio-visual link, so we might just make a phone call. I had a little bit of a problem with Kayla yesterday as well, trying to make contact. But hopefully that run of bad luck technologically will be behind us soon. We are going placidly, not going to let these things upset us. And there's a little clue there. I'm going to read the Desiderata out to you later. It's an absolute classic for keeping your head and staying cool. And it's a real nice credo for life and living. So let us just return to that later, and we'll have a quick look at the weather now, I think, and also say hello. Hola, bon dia, babe. Nice mixture there of Portuguese and Southeast England. Morning to you, Babs, as well, and to Druba. Good morning, all. He's extending a welcome to everybody. And Louisa apologizing because the baby messed up all my controls on here on her watch. Okay, so yeah, that weather, like I say, 27 really nice warm degrees in this studio this morning. And the highs around the country are looking pretty impressive, I have to say. A high of 30 today in Lisbon, 28 in Porto. And I think we might have pushed the clouds back a little bit, and it's not going to be cloudy until Saturday and Sunday. And I'm seeing a little bit of sun forecast for next week. So maybe the summer is well and truly here. Aveiro, a high of 30 today. Beja, high of 33. 31 in Braga later on. Bragança, 30. 30 in Castelo Branco too. Coimbra, 34. Yeah, we're feeling that heat here. And I think we got up to similar temperatures yesterday. Whilst we were working on the house renovation, making it ready for a viewing yesterday afternoon. It was really hot weather to be doing that in. Évora, 32 degrees, Faro, 26. It's so interesting that down in the south, where I always think of the highest temperatures, it's quite relatively cool, but still 26 is nothing to complain about, is it? In Faro today as the high. Guarda, 28. La Area, 33. Porto Alegre, 30. Santarém, 33, the high today. 31 in Estabal. Viana do Castelo. I'm reporting the highs. I think that's what you want to hear about, right? 28 degrees and no cloud until the weekend in Viana do Castelo. Villarreal, 32 degrees again, no cloud until the weekend. Well, you might be glad for it by the time we get to the weekend. Vizia, 30 degrees, cloud returning at the weekend. Still warm and sunny. And Azores, 19 degrees today at the high, and Madeira, 19 degrees. So out there in the islands, the temperature's a little lower and a little bit cloudy. So there you go. That's the weather for today. Anyone else got a weather report from their part of the country? I can't call her a sommelier. I think that goes against the Trade Descriptions Act, but she is our wine tasting leader, Eloise Healy in Panella. How is your weather there today, Eloise? Loving all the ideas we're having for the wine club. Do join the group, the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, under the leadership of Eloise. We're just trying to figure out the best way to do that. And our next tasting will be June the 6th. It's a Saturday night, I believe. And at 9 o'clock, we uncork those bottles and taste them. And we're off somewhere else in the country. And I'm sure Eloise will remind us in the comments where we're going. I was going to ask if you could read that this morning. Funny. Oh, yeah, the Desiderata. I'll be reading that later. Stephen Clare, good morning to you in Lille. Definitely higher than 26 forecast yesterday. But we're not complaining, right? It'll be a while before we're complaining about how hot it is. And it's too hot. Blooming weather. Never satisfied. Okay. I think what I'm going to do after I've had a look at a little bit of news today, I'm thinking I don't really want to do specific numbers anymore on COVID infection. You know, if there's any spikes, I'll tell you about that. If there's anything to really write home about, as it were, I'll tell you about that as well. But I'm looking now more generally at what's going on and the impact of the pandemic and how things are going to be unfolding, right, as we proceed. And I've got some news this morning on the third stage of is it disconfinement? We're going from calamity to something else, and I'll tell you what the official word for that is in just a moment. Clear and sunny with a high of 30 degrees here in Castanheira da Beira today. And I think you've got that amazing Lido over that way, part of the country, haven't you, Peter? Peter, of course, is the man who brings us the Portuguese with Paulo hashtag and education. But there's an interesting part of the country over there, Castanheira da Beira, I believe. Windy as and very warm in Penella this morning. Yeah, it's nice to get a little bit of a breeze, isn't it? But a bit scary when it gets a bit too, when it starts banging your windows. No complaints at all from the south of the country and the McGibbons down there. All right, so let's have a look at what the Portugal resident is saying. I'm going to keep my eye open for Leah, who I think, oh yeah, I'm going to give her a call in just a moment. Oh, that's a long number. I think that's probably her original expat number, but we'll try that in a little while after we've had a look at what the Portugal resident are saying this morning about where we're heading with all of this lifting of the lockdown. I think Owen yesterday was asking about music events and the bigger events. I don't think anything's going to happen, as this article I think tells us, until September. But look, Portugal approaches third stage of deconfinement. So we're going from the state of calamity to the third stage of deconfinement now. Gyms, that's if you were ever bothered about going back to the gym. I'm not. Got myself a bicycle instead. Gyms, cinemas, and I'm renovating a house. I think it's enough exercise in renovation and having a bicycle and cycling to the shops every day instead of going to sit on those silly metal machines. But anyway, enough of my opinions. Gyms, cinemas, and theatres are due to reopen on Monday. That's June the 1st. So, yeah, so June the 1st is being seen, I think, generally around the world as a possible turning point for quite a lot of lifting of restrictions to do with the pandemic. Portugal approaching its third stage of deconfinement. All will be adhering to strict measures of hygiene and physical distancing. That's the hope. In the case of gyms, measures will involve reducing the use of machines by 50%, which if I was going to a gym, I would take some comfort in that. But I don't think they mean you only use it 50% in terms of effort. I think only half the machines are allowed to be used, perhaps. Allowing people only 1 hour per day to train. That's a long time. Dividing up spaces to ensure 4 square meters per person and keeping showers off limits. Yeah, we don't want all that sweat and whatever flies around in gyms, do you, to be a problem. So 4 square meters you get to yourself in the gym, which I think is quite a nice idea and should probably stay. In other words, the whole gym experience that people have come to enjoy has had to radically change and will remain the way until further notice. How this will affect the many thousands of businesses up and down the country remains to be seen. Je sais. Zé Carlos Reis of AGAP, Portugal Association of Gymnasiums, says it's one of the sectors that has been most heavily penalised. Interesting. Around 60 to 70% are small businesses, even micro businesses, that don't have any kind of backup. And this is a story going on all behind the scenes, isn't it? I've had phone calls from people who are absolutely tearing their hair out because on the face of it, it looks like there's help, there's loans, but actually the banks aren't being too brilliant, I don't suppose. And so I hear. And I imagine it's quite a rigmarole applying for any kind of benefit and support. And, you know, like a loan, my goodness, you have to apply for a loan and you've got that coming to you in the pipeline. What a sorry state of affairs. Anyway, for cinemas, beyond the typical hand sanitizing requirements, yes, after you've had your hand in a box of popcorn for an hour, there is to be a seat's distance between spectators unless they come from the same household, with the wearing of masks mandatory. You know how you look at pictures of the 70s and you think, my God, what was I wearing? Those of you old enough to think that. And my hair, what happened with my hair? And I suppose that would be the same in the 80s and 90s. What was I doing with my hair? We'll look back on this age, won't we? And there'll be photographs of families and they'll have masks on. And the grandchildren will say, what was that about? unless, of course, we're all wearing masks by the time those grandchildren are born and it's completely normal. I hope to God it's not. Theatres will be able to operate in a similar way if they decide to reopen at all. Yes, last in line in terms of culture, the theatres, sadly. June, July, and August being traditionally low months for theatres in Portugal. I see, right? Everyone's on holiday, aren't they? Of course. That's going to be an interesting Portuguese holiday year this year, isn't it? Airports too are expected to become much busier from June the 1st, with more and more airlines picking up schedules. I believe that's the case. I think, you know, as far as the airlines and the airports, Faro particularly, it's just going to be back to normal. And the social distancing on planes, I just think, has been ditched. And by the 1st of June, everyone will be back on the planes, wearing masks, presumably. You could probably fly to Faro again on Ryanair for 20 quid, and they'll sell you a mask for another 20 quid on the plane. But the third phase of returning to business still has no answers for bars and discotheques. There you go. There's the answer to your question from yesterday, Owen. While open-air events, concerts, festivals have all been told to expect no joy before the end of September. Literally no joy from those events until the end of September, when it gets a bit cooler. And I guess people see how the land lies. Updates on the new phase are expected as we approach the weekend. So more news on this third stage of deconfinement to follow, I think, in these next couple of days. What a scurrilous and unpleasant rumors being spread about me that I've never been to a gym. How rude. Look, from Torquay. No, sorry, beg your pardon, from Teignmouth in Devon. Morning to you, lovelies. Big hugs from Hazel there. Hi, Hazel and John. Good morning to you. And a link from Peter about the amazing Lido, I think, over his part of the country. It's quite something when you drive past it. It's an incredible thing. Morning, beautiful people. One love, Owen Lloyd Martin. Thanks for your message last night, Owen. I'm so glad you had such a lovely turnaround kind of day yesterday. How it must be something in your stars, my friend. You've obviously never set foot in a gym. I so have set foot in a gym. I didn't stay long. Never used to stick around too long, but I know what it's like. What about the outdoor gyms in parks? One of the sweetest things about Portugal, right? That's true. They are really cool, those outdoor gyms that seem to be everywhere. But make sure you give them a wipe down to remove other people's sweat and bodily products from those things. The world is a very beautiful place today. It sure is. That's so lovely to hear. We're going to all be in tears by the time I've finished reading the Desiderata to everybody. Won't be seeing that from us. I'm not sure what Luis is mentioning there. Maybe the whole family. Oh, yeah, grandchildren wearing masks in 20, 30 years' time. Good morning to you. The Marshes over in Fundal. Good morning while busy cherry picking. How lovely. And these guys, you know what? They get up, I think at 6 in the morning to go cherry picking. Isn't that wonderful? And they obviously take a break because of the scorching sun by about midday, and then they're back out as the weather cools. Incredible. And that's what I'm hoping we're going to talk to Leah about in just a moment. She's an influencer on YouTube, you know, Our Portuguese Homestead. So we'll give her a buzz in just a minute. Thanks for recommending a new friendship to me. Had a lovely chat with your female friend in Exeter. Oh, I seem to be prying on people's conversations in the comments there. So let me try and make a call now. This is exciting, isn't it? This could go horribly wrong. Or it's like one of those old-fashioned shows, you know, on the telly where it's ringing. But I've got to find out now where Leah sent her number to. I think it's so many platforms these days, right? So many, so many bits of technology to think about. Now, I think I'm ringing a Dutch number, which is a bit of a clue here. I won't read it out because that wouldn't be right or sensible, would it? And attempt this call now. And I'd like to say, I wonder if I've got that number right. That'd be funny, wouldn't it, if I end up ringing a Chinese takeaway in Amsterdam by mistake. But let me see. Let me just check. Okay, I think that's right. Let's see what happens when I press that button there and see. This could be expensive too, couldn't it? I'm ringing the Nederlander. It's not ringing yet, though. I guess this is a technological feat, and I should be a little bit more patient. It is incredible, isn't it? That didn't work, did it? Can you hear that? That's not working. Okay, so I'll try it without the zeros this time. Okay, same again. This is exciting stuff, isn't it? This is great radio, as they say. or are you gripped to see if this man can make a grown man can manage to make
para o qual ligou não está atribuído. The number you are trying to call is not a working number.
It's not a working number. That's not good, is it? But there you've got a little bit of Portuguese vocabulary in the mix there. So let me just try this one more time. I won't waste any more of your time trying to make a phone call live on air. That wouldn't be fair. I do want to say to you as well that I'm going to start featuring properties again. But I don't want it to be sort of any old property feature kind of show. I want some interesting things. So if you're trying to sell a property, if there's a particular kind of property you're looking for and you give me a bit of a steer on the sort of thing you're looking at, I will do some research on your behalf because I love looking at property on this show, on this live stream, and we'll start doing those again because I think that's really good fun. Last try then for Leah van der Imsch to see if we can get through to her via mobile. Oh, there we go. We're through. I think we're through. I think we're ringing. And we are ready for some Portuguese with Paulo as well, Peter. I think Leah might be there.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Hola, bom dia to you. I'm so glad we were able to make this call. How are you?
Yeah. Sorry, the computer didn't work. I don't think our internet is not good enough for it or something like that.
No problem at all. It's lovely to hear your voice anyway and to make some sort of connection with you. So fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us.
Having me.
On our screen that you won't be able to see at the moment, but it says Na Quinta, which is down on the farm. And I've described you. Am I saying your name right? Leah?
Leah, yeah.
Leah. You are the YouTube influencer, I'm going to say, who has the channel Our Portuguese Homestead. Please tell us about that, Leah. How did you get to be in Portugal? Where are you in Portugal?
So we're in the Castelo Branco district.
Very nice.
And we bought our land almost a year ago. And almost 2 years ago, we started traveling with our camper. So we decided we had enough of the high rents in the Netherlands. We were close to Amsterdam, so it was even more expensive. And we decided when Puck came, our baby, this is enough, we need to leave. And we had a little bit of savings so we could buy the camper. And then we started traveling. And so we drove a little bit through Europe, and we had been to Portugal once before. And we just loved the country, so we decided to really focus our search here. And then, after a year, we decided to buy this land.
How wonderful! Oh, hold on, that's you coming through as a YouTube influencer. That's your theme music, isn't it? I'm just trying to share the screen with everybody so they can get a picture of you and your lovely place. So, how's it going, Leah? What's it like? I mean, you are living the dream that many people have. What's the reality of it? How's it going for you guys?
Well, the reality for us is that we bought land that had not been used for 30, 40 years. Right. And so we do have an olive grove, and we do have lots of cork oak. But the first time that we came here, we couldn't see any of them because all the bushes were 2-3 meters high. So we kind of took a chance. And we saw lots of potential on this land. So we decided, let's just do it. But then it was summer, so we couldn't clean anything. So this last winter, we've been cleaning like crazy, especially Maarten, just going with the trimmer, taking all the bushes down. So it's lots of hard work for us. We didn't buy a property that was ready to move in. But that's also the fun for us, is just seeing what's actually here and discovering new things every couple of weeks. So a couple of weeks ago, we started digging on the cadastro. We could see there's some sort of water spring, but we couldn't really find it. So we started digging, and now we found a spring, and that's such a blessing to have extra water. So it's a nice adventure, but it's also lots of hard work, especially with a toddler around who needs lots of love and attention. So it's a juggle, but it's fun.
Yeah, and that I think people need to know, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But it's good to go in with your eyes wide open, isn't it, to know what you're letting yourself in for? And it's not for the faint-hearted. Oh, Lee, you still there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, and so I'm getting the feeling you would recommend it. It sounds beautiful. I mean, this idea that you find a surprise every other week because you're cutting into your plot there and you're finding new and beautiful things, and presumably another tree you didn't know you had, and so forth. I'm guessing you would recommend it to other people.
I highly recommend it if you like hard work, being outside. Yeah, and because we bought it all cash, we don't have the added stress of having to make enough money for rent, and we really have very low overhead.
Yeah.
So we really get to focus on doing the work and just being outdoors and enjoying our time more than working for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really highly recommend this type of adventure.
Because we're seeing the pictures of your introductory video and your dog and your baby boy there. It looks absolutely wonderful. What do you have to say about the Castelo Branco part of Portugal? What made you choose there, and what's great about Castelo Branco for you?
Well, it's a couple of things. I think Castelo Branco has some of the cheapest land around in Portugal, so that was that was important for us because we didn't have that much money to invest. But then it's also, I think, a highly underrated district because there's so many. There's mountains, there's river beaches, but also hills and lakes, and there's just so many different things that you can explore. And if you just start walking, it's already different 10 minutes later. So it's a really there's so much diversity here, and we stayed in the mountains before, and we decided because we stayed in the Arganil area, and that had the fires in 2017, and we just saw how much despair that caused, and then we decided, okay, the mountains is not for us. It doesn't feel very safe, although it's beautiful, and so we have the view of the mountains. We can see the Serra da Estrela from our place, but we don't have that extra risk of all the plantations and all that stuff. So that's some of the decisions that you have to make. I still dream of living in the mountains one day, but we'll have to see. So yeah, and the Castelo Branco, the city, has everything that you need. And there's a train to Lisbon if you ever need it. So it's really quite accessible. But you get so much bang for your buck here that we decided this is a nice place to settle down.
Absolutely wonderful. We're getting a message from Belgium this morning, I believe. Bon dia to Leah as well. Good morgen. I think because you share a language, a common language, of course, between the Netherlands and Belgium there. And your YouTube channel is such a wonderful service you're providing to other people to give them an insight and a view into your world. Just watch your intro video there, which is so beautiful. It must take quite a lot of your time.
Oh, thank you.
Not only are you're raising your child and you're bringing your Quinta back to life there, and you're a YouTube family as well, making these videos. What's the intention behind the videos and the channel?
Well, I love to share, so I think that a lot of people are now searching for a different way of life, and what I want to show is really the path to that life. And well, I show everything, so I show the struggles, I show all the hard work, but I think also all the beautiful things that come with it, living in the countryside. And yeah, I think lots of people are looking for it, but they don't really know the way. So I want to show that, and so that people can start coming back to the countryside and really start repopulating this area, because we need lots of people here.
Yeah.
all the people in the village, they're quite old, of course, and yeah, we need some young people and some kids, and I would love for people to come here. Yeah,
that's such a lovely mission, and you're absolutely right. I think this is such a glorious opportunity, but something that needs to be done right. The natural treasure of Portugal, and I guess other countries as well, is being deserted in favor of the exact life you're distancing yourself from now. And hopefully we can close that loop a little bit and have people, really returning to the interior and living a different kind of way of life. So good on you for providing that and giving people that invitation. Another comment from Belgium. A question for Leah. Are you getting used to the warm weather in the summer? Because I know it can get really hot. You can get 40-degree days in Castelo Branco, right?
Yeah, 40, and sometimes it can go up to 45 depending on where you are.
Woo! Okay.
So it's quite a lot, but I actually love it. So I was born in South Africa, so I spent the first couple of years of my life there, and it can get quite hot there as well. So the Netherlands was always a little bit too cold for me. There's a couple of days in summer that you have a nice temperature, but most of the year it's not very good. So I love the long summer and I love the heat, and you have to get used to getting up earlier to do some work.
Yes.
And then just have a rest after the noon. But that's okay. I really don't mind.
Good. Excellent. So final question for you then. Would you recommend it? And because this is the question for a lot of people, they're thinking about it, aren't they? And, with the pandemic and the changes in the world, it might be more frightening for people, or it might be the push for them to say, okay, let's just do it. The world's going crazy. What would be your view on that?
Well, when we left, some people are like, oh yeah, that's such a you thing to do. But lots of people were like, oh, but you just had a baby, and why would you do this? And everything, especially some of the older generation, they think that the city is comfort because you have everything accessible. You can just buy everything you want. But now everyone is saying to me, oh, you made such a good decision. You have I see that your life has barely changed, and really good on you for making this, and just that you can get on with your life. So lots of people are now saying, oh, that was a good choice. And I would recommend it to anyone if you have any way of saving enough money or starting work online, because that's one little side note, is that the minimum wage is so low here in Portugal. Unless you are a business owner or you really have a skill that you can sell, work is hard to come by, I think, and to make enough money is hard. But you don't need so much money, because if you just buy your land cash, then you don't have really much overhead. But if you have a way of making it happen, and you have to think creatively, I would highly recommend it. It's much more. It's nice to just grow your own vegetables and be with your children, and just sitting in the sun is much better than anything I ever experienced in the city.
How lovely. I'm getting a very warm affirmation from you there, literally on every level. Adruba from Nepal, who's in Sintra now, says, what an amazing work they did. I'd been following them since we came here. So one of your fans, seeing their hard work in the startup time was almost discouraging to me, but they pulled it off. So did I, working on our abandoned land for 17 years now. We can grow enough veggies for our families and neighbors. So you have truly been an inspiration to other people, which must be nice to know. And I thank you, Leah, for what you're sharing, for talking to me this morning, and for holding that, keeping that light, for others to follow, and with this lovely lifestyle and the future. So lots of love to you and your family, and thanks again.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and I hope you enjoy the summer.
We will do our best. And what I should say is to follow Leah and family. It's called Our Portuguese Homestead on YouTube, isn't it? I think that's the best way to find you and keep in touch with the work you're doing. Yeah, I have the YouTube, and then also on Instagram and Facebook, it's just Our Portuguese Homestead. Superb. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a lovely day. Yeah, you too. All right. Goodbye for now. Bye. Bye-bye. How wonderful. That's Leah there, Our Portuguese Homestead, live on the phone. You can do that as well if you want to call the Good Morning Portugal studio, such as it is. 913-590-303. Let's have a chat. I was on a a forum that was getting a bit eggy talking about COVID-19, and I said I'll host a phone in. So I'm well up for doing that as well. If people want to treat this like a phone in, we can stay open a bit later and use the second half of the show, I don't know, between 9:30 and 10, to air some views and discuss things and talk about things, because social media is becoming such a sort of polarized binary place, and you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't say what you think. I think it's possible that we can say what we think and still be friends, and I think that's really important. So Good Morning Portugal is a space for doing that. I hope you would agree. Peter, we've got to do our language stuff, haven't we? And I was trying to find out what the translation was for down on the farm, and I've got na quinta. First of all, it was na fazenda, which is, I think, Brazilian Portuguese for the farm, but quinta, of course, for European Portuguese. Yesterday, I asked Paolo to come up with some local words, says Peter, and we've got this feature out of nowhere, #Portuguese with Paolo, and phrases that you wouldn't hear in Portugal very often. This is Peter talking to Paolo. After a minute or two, he said, how about some words in Lente? I don't know if I pronounced that right, and we haven't got Ana Lucia watching this morning to tell me otherwise. So we can start with the word Lente, which I think Peter will explain what that is. He's going to give us a demonstration in just a moment. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Lente de Cascona. Lente is a derivative word for Latin. Oh, okay. And Cascona, an invented word for Castanheira de Pera. Lente de Cascona. Lente de Cascona was a colloquial language invented by the 19th century fabric sellers of Castanheira de Pera, which they used amongst themselves to control the price of fabric, so buyers could not understand what they were talking about. Lovely! Little bit of culture and history there. And a little bit of, I don't know if he works for the tourist board over that way, but look, to find out more, along with some examples, visit our Camara website. There you go, Castanheira de Pera. He's a big fan. He lives there. He must love it. And isn't that lovely that so many people we speak to across Portugal just absolutely love where they live? And we're obviously spoilt for choice when it comes to choosing places to live in Portugal. So I will love you and leave you, apart from reading the Desiderata with you this morning is what I want to do. And I think this is such a classic. I discovered this as an angsty teenager, I think, wandering about as I used to do. As a teenager, bunking off school and stuff. And I reckon I found this somewhere, I don't know, in a bookshop or something like that, a postcard with this on, and it blew my mind. I thought, why have I not heard this before? Why isn't this taught in school? And I have to thank Lottie Lowe for this morning, for posting this up. An absolute perennial bit of wisdom. He even uses the word perennial. And I believe it's accredited to Max Ehrmann, the author, and was found in a church somewhere. And then it has become a source of inspiration for generations subsequently. And I think it's especially appropriate right now in these bonkers times. And just before I read that, let's just see if there's any other messages to share. I think Owen's in for the property feature for sure. Let us know what you're looking for, Owen, and we'll use that as our lead. And I just noted, yeah, there was a comment from Eloise. Thank you. I noted Ryanair have pulled some routes from Lisboa and Porto post-July. So I may well be wrong there. And in many ways, I hope I am. You know, with all due respect to people who are trying to run businesses and restoke tourism here, I think there are other ways for us to live our lives, have happy lives and healthy lives, and retain some of the benefit that we felt from, ironically, from this, the arrival of the pandemic and the great quality of life it has brought to some people. I'm not being a Pollyanna or being unrealistic about that. I do recognize that it's caused misery for some as well, and you know, made life very difficult for people. But as with everything in life, you know, there's two sides to it, and we've also been shown something else, haven't we, in the midst of the craziness and the implications and the impact of the pandemic. It's a great place. This Peter's still talking about Castanheira de Pera. It's a great place, and love telling and showing people off, showing people the area. Love telling and showing. Yeah, he loves the show and tell, does Peter, and he loves sharing the area with people. I also did in my home in the island of Jersey, unofficial tourism promoter. Thank you, Peter. I'm really enjoying your contributions to the live stream. So let's go to that desiderata reading now. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It's a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. Do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it's clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and wherever your labors and aspirations. In the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it's still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. How beautiful is that? Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Take care. The logo will be back for Fungi Friday in the morning. So, yeah, man, yeah. Take care. Bye for now.